Welcome, ancient history enthusiasts. In Athens, perched on an outcrop of the Acropolis like a guardian owl, sits the temple of Athena Nike, the goddess of victory. Sadly, it's a site that's seldom visited by tourists who come to the Acropolis. You can see why. Here is the entrance to the Acropolis through the Propylaea. People stream towards the Parthenon, snap a photo of everyone in their group, and maybe walk around the Parthenon, take a glance at the Erechtheum, at the caryatid porch, and then they retreat back down to modern Athens. In the meanwhile, they have overlooked the temple of Athena Nike because they haven't bothered to wander back here, almost hidden behind the Propylaea, to take a look at it. Now, this 19th century painting shows it better than photographs do today. The temple was dedicated in the year 420 BC. It was designed by the architect Callicrates in the Ionic style, which means that the capitals of the columns, the supporting columns, had these fancy volutes on them. The columns themselves were rather more slender than those, say, on the Parthenon, and they were constructed or carved from a single lengthy piece of Pentelic marble. Unlike the Parthenon columns, which are drums, maybe 4 or 5 drums for each column. And this is the same for the 4 columns in front and in back of the Temple of Athena Nike. Along the top, just below the roof line, is the frieze, which I'll show you in a second. It depicts the Athenians defeating the Persians, presumably at the Battle of Marathon. And then right around this outcrop, there was a, call it a fence of marble slabs, carved marble slabs, which depicted various aspects of Athena Nike. Again, I'll show you that in just a minute. Here are bits and pieces of the frieze that have survived. You'll find them in the new Acropolis Museum, which is no longer on top of the Acropolis, but is close by. You can see the Athenians doing battle with the Persians. Here is a fallen Persian warrior and another one who's about to fall. And this is the best of the surviving fence slabs that surrounded the temple, guarded people from falling off, I suppose. This one shows Athena Nike. Here's her wing. She's a winged goddess. She's adjusting her sandal. And it is a classic of the classical Athenian style of sculpture. It is, they use the term wet drapery to describe how the drapery clings to her body, revealing her body at the same time clothing it modestly. This is another one of the very few slabs that have survived. And again, you have Athena and Nike, and you can see her wing here. This is a plan of the temple. It's very simple. The main part of the temple, the cell, is right here, and only the priestess who would be engaged in rites on behalf of Athena Nike would have entrance. Any public rituals, such as a sacrifice, would take place in front of the temple. Sacrifices were always open air. And interestingly enough, according to Pausanias, an ancient Greek traveler who saw the temple and when the cult statue was in place, he called it Athena Apteros, Athena without wings, because apparently the sculptor had clipped Athena's Nike's wings so that she could never fly away and leave Athens abandoned and defenseless. This is an artist's conception of how the roofline would have looked, and these acroterion, the statues that would have been on the roof in the corners, and then on the apex of the roof, are said likely to have looked like the Nike of Samothrace that you have seen at the Louvre in Paris, something like this. When the Ottoman Turks took control of the Acropolis back in the Middle Ages, or the early modern period after 1453, they dismantled this particular temple and used it to buttress the defense of the Acropolis against any would-be invaders. So the temple more or less disappeared. But in 1836, when Greece gained its independence from the Ottoman Turks, they were able to discover many of the pieces of the temple, to cut others. And so they reconstructed it as a symbol of their newly obtained independence in honor of Athena Nike. And this photo comes from that very early period. So that's the temple of Athena Nike. When I was resident in Athens, I spent a lot of time seated right here, where I could still see the Parthenon and see some of the people, but very few people would wander over here. So it was a good place to sit in the sunshine, read, write, but mostly just daydream about what was daily life for the ancient Athenians. It was a wonderful experience. It made me feel part of antiquity. Well, thanks for watching today. Please come back at your convenience.